welcome to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome back. My name is Becca, and today we are actually going to be talking about my WGU experience and how I was able to obtain a bachelor's degree in just 6 months. We're going to talk about how many credits I transferred, if I have any advice to give you, and all of those things, what I majored in. So, well, first of all, I majored in business administration management from WGU. So I obtained a bachelor's degree in business administration, and I actually transferred in 56 credits. So, or in terms of WGU, that's considered course units, CUs. So with that, I transferred in 56 credits, and I only actually needed to take 21 classes at WGU to obtain a bachelor's degree. So for reference, at a big university college, you would usually have to break that up into probably like 3 years. So I was able to get all of that done within 6 months. WGU is completely accredited. It was formed by a bunch of governors, and it's basically a college that you can use to obtain your education without having to wait an entire semester to begin your next set of courses. You can take as many courses a semester that you wish, and it's just a great way to obtain a bachelor's degree if you don't want to pay thousands of dollars or get a ton of student debt from going to a big university. WGU is completely accredited, and it's super affordable, and it's just a great college all around, and they are adding new degree plans all the time. So they recently just added a software engineering degree, which a lot of people are super excited about. WGU is pretty known for their cybersecurity degrees, so a lot of people actually use WGU to obtain those, and they have a very generous credit transfer policy. I actually obtained my associate's degree in business management at Jefferson State Community College before this, back in like 2019. So WGU was able to take all of those credits and put them into this degree plan, because that associate's degree was also in business management. So I did end up having 56 total credits transferable to my degree plan, which really saved me a lot of time. Some people have mentioned that you can do courses through something called Sophia, Sophia is another learning site where you can take college courses. You pay for the course, and it's usually a lot less than you would pay if you were doing it at a big university. So that way you can get those credits and transfer them into your degree plan before you start WGU, to even give you a bigger advantage as far as courses go, so you have less to complete. So my goal was to do all of this in one term and to only pay for one term, because WGU is by semester, so you pay per term. So one term for WGU, the total for me was $3,750. I'm not sure if that's still the amount now, but that is how much it cost me for one term at WGU. So I was able to finish all of my courses within 6 months, and I just finished my last class January 31st. I was able to complete my capstone, and it was all submitted and came back. So I did finish everything, thank God, and I have obtained a bachelor's degree. I'm still waiting on it to come in the mail, but yes, so that is what I did to obtain my bachelor's degree from WGU. So my advice is, if you have the time and you want to accelerate, there are things that you can take advantage of. So there is a WGU Facebook group for the business classes, and there's also one for IT, and usually the other courses that they offer as well gets monitored by administrators at the school. So there is a regular one that's just for WGU business, and there are tons of tips and tricks in that class, and if you are struggling with something and you need to ask a question or something like that, you can search the course number in the search box for that Facebook group, and it will bring up all the information that you need to know about the course, and it's super helpful. I've utilized that group multiple times to find Quizlets for the classes that I was taking, also to see study guides and just any tips and tricks on the objective assessments. So something else about WGU to note is they do not have a GPA. So when you take courses at WGU, in order to pass the class, if you are taking a proctored exam, which is where the exams are proctored and someone is monitoring you while you're taking your test and they're looking at your screen and you have a webcam on you, you have to have at least a B in order to pass all of your classes. So WGU basically is just like a straight like 3.0. You don't get anything higher or anything lower than a 3.0 GPA as long as you pass your courses. So that is something to note. I know a lot of government jobs do require you to have your transcripts and they require you to give like your GPA, but Western Governors University is a college that was founded by governors, and a lot of government companies have hired WGU students with no issues. So that just, that is something to note as well. But so the WGU Facebook group is a great way to utilize resources to help you accelerate on your journey. And there is also another group on Facebook called WGU accelerators for students that are trying to accelerate their degree and obtain it within, a certain amount of time. And there's pretty much the same tips and tricks in both groups, to be honest with you. I didn't really notice a difference, but I did join them both just in case there was, something different in one group than the other. But my advice is, if you have the time, and the way that I was able to complete 21 classes in the last 6 months with all of the holidays as well, I completed them through, Christmas and Thanksgiving, and those were very, very tough times for me because, everybody's busy, everybody's traveling, and it's just hard to find the motivation to do schoolwork during that time. But I was able to find the motivation because I knew I had a schedule that I needed to complete and I needed to get it done. So that way I don't have to come out of pocket again next semester to pay for another term. So for me, I really had to make some sacrifices as far as, just like what I did after I got off work. And then of course, I also do work remotely, so I was able to do schoolwork and work like my 9-to-5 job basically at the same time. So I was a lot luckier in that way than most people that are completing this degree. But there are people that have jobs that they go to that have also done more classes than I have in less time as well. So it's really all about you and your drive as a person and how long you want it to take you to complete these courses. So for me, I basically had to cut out any extra things that I would have normally done after work. Like I wouldn't be able to just relax and watch TV after I got off work. I would go straight to studying and then study for the rest of the night. I would try to get through all of the course material as fast as possible. Majority of the courses in the course resources, there are things called task-in-a-days for your classes that do not require you to take a proctored exam. They require you to take something called a performance assessment. And the performance assessment is basically writing a paper based on the information that they give you. Well, in order to complete those quickly, because a lot of people said that those were time consuming and they took them the longest, I found those to be the easiest because a lot of the times you could go to the course resources in something called Panopto, where they have cohorts, which is a recorded video of the instructor going through step by step each task and what you needed to do to finish the task. So for me, the most helpful thing to do was to watch those task-in-a-day cohorts and to do my tasks while I was watching the task-in-a-day cohorts. It was just so much easier to do all of the material right then and there and have it done quickly. And in doing that, I was able to do that performance assessment within one day just by watching the cohorts and listening to the course instructors. So one thing about the Facebook groups I will warn you about is everybody's experience is different. Everybody has their own experience that they're bringing into their degree. And for me personally, some of the classes that everybody else had failed in the WGU Facebook groups and were telling you about how they failed this class so many times and all this and all that, don't let stuff like that get to you, because I had multiple people say that they had failed a certain class and I passed that class on the first try. So another thing to note about WGU is you are allowed to take an exam twice before you have to pay to take the next one. So, and you can only take an exam, I think probably 3 or 4 times, unless your course instructor has approved you to take it again. If you don't pass the course, then you have to start again next term. But that is something to note. If you do fail a test at least twice and you have to take it for a 3rd time, you have to pay $60 to take it again. So that is something to note, because $60 is not pocket change. So there were a couple of classes that I really did struggle with, I will say that much. The hardest class I feel like that I took for me personally was managing in a global business environment. That test was really difficult for me. It was a lot of information. Like, you really had to go through the entirety of the course, like all of the material, read everything cover to cover, and sometimes that still may not be enough if you just don't understand the material. So that was one of the hardest courses I think that I took personally. But I do think all of the accounting courses that you have to take for business administration management are not that difficult. A lot of the times, like I said, there are those task in a day cohorts, and there are videos, and there are so many resources that you can utilize to help you along your journey. I know that anytime that you needed instructions or help on anything, you could always reach out to a course instructor and they would get back with you within a couple of hours or a day usually, unless it's like a weekend. So that was really nice to have. I don't feel like it was any different for me than going to an actual university. Since I did go to a community college where I had to physically be there and take classes, it was not online. So the difference for me was just that I could go at my own pace. So I mean, I was able to retain as much information as I wanted to at one time without having to wait a whole summer to take a new set of courses. You get assigned a course mentor at the beginning of your WGU journey, and your course mentor is going to be like your bestie. He is going to tell you basically what you need to do to obtain, or what you need to do to accelerate, and which courses you should complete first. And I had the best mentor when I was taking classes at WGU. She truly made my experience great, and she was like my biggest cheerleader the whole time, and she was really so great at adding courses as soon as I needed them to be available. She was on it. Like, as soon as she knew I was going to finish something, she would go ahead and register me for the next 2 or 3 classes for the term. And she only recommended one thing, and it was that I did not start more than one course at once. She just wanted me to finish one course at a time instead of like trying to dive into like multiple different materials at once, which is understandable. So you can just keep all your focus on one course, finish it as quickly as possible, and then move on to the next. So another thing I would talk about was, did I read all of the course material, like all of the books that you have to read for each course cover to cover? Some of the courses I did, but then some of the courses I noticed that I knew a lot of the information already, and I kind of just skimmed the material, and I would do Quizlets and then the course unit tests. So in a lot of the courses, there are course unit tests at the end of each chapter of the book. So majority of the time when I had those, I would just go through and do all of the course unit tests to make sure I knew the material. And then I would take something called the pre-assessment, which is WGU's version of like a pre-test before you take the real test. Sometimes they are just, they align very well with the objective assessment that's proctored, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they are not alike at all, and you're just like kind of sitting there like, what is this? But a lot of the times they do align. There are some courses in which they don't. I will admit, some versions of the OAs that you will get are going to be easier than other versions. If you have to retake a test and you notice when you first take it, it feels like it was really difficult, and then the next version you get is either really like a lot harder or even easier, it's because there are different versions of the OA every single time that you take the exam. You never know which version you're going to get, so you just have to be prepared with all of your studying and everything. Another thing that I would recommend that helped me stay focused, and I didn't even discover this until I was close to finishing my degree, which was Alpha Brain by Onnit. It's the memory and focus one. So So for me, I struggle a lot of times to stay focused while I'm trying to study, and like my mind just goes all over the place. I'll be thinking of a million different things. But I did find out that taking Alpha Brain, like, you get hyper focused and you're able to retain so much more information. I would take 2 of those before every single OA, at least in like the last 2 months of my journey, and I didn't fail a test after that. So like, they really are lifesavers. Like, I will say that much. I'm not sponsored or anything, but if you need something to help you focus while you study, check out Alpha Brain by Onnit. And yeah, that was one thing that I did use to help me study and retain information. And then also, like I said, you know, just utilizing the unit tests and unit quizzes, and then just going back through and taking the PA. And then, so for the test, you either score competent or you score exemplary. So if you scored exemplary, that means you almost missed like barely anything. You did very, very well. So you have to have at least a B on your test to pass the test. So even if you just score competent, just know that you at least made a B, you know, and if you get exemplary, then that's great. That's great for you. So for the pacing for me, I pretty much did or tried to do a class a week or a class every 2 weeks. Around the holidays, it kind of got a little, you know, I was trying to do at least 1 class every 2 weeks around the holidays. And there are some courses that are worth 4 course units instead of 3 course units, and those are the courses that have a lot more material. They usually range from like 70 to 80 questions on the objective assessment. So those are the very like course heavy material classes that you'll have to really, really pay attention to the material and make sure you're retaining all the information, because those might take you a little bit longer than just the classes that have like 50 or 60 questions on the OA instead, you know. What I would suggest to do, like as far as pacing goes, is as you're going through the course, if a lot of the information seems familiar to you and you seem like you're really familiar with the information, everything makes sense, you have experience in this field maybe, to go ahead and take the pre-assessment. And then if your pre-assessment is like really, really good, then you could probably go ahead and take the test for that class. You don't have to read all of the course material cover to cover. It is just something that some people prefer to do. And then sometimes I think I had like 1 or 2 courses where the course material did not match anything that was on the test at all. So it was kind of like useless information in my opinion. But I think I only had like 1 course that was like that. Everything else seemed to be pretty through and through, you know, it was pretty good. But yeah, so I mean, like, if you wanted to obtain a bachelor's degree and you did not transfer in any credits, I think that realistically you could probably complete this degree within a year, because I transferred in 56 credits, and then I think in total I had, so I transferred in 56 credits, and then I had a total of 66 credits that I had to complete at WGU. And some of those were actually like orientation. One of those was orientation, so that one doesn't even really count. So basically, if you take that one away, it was like 63 credits that I had to complete. And if you add that to my 56 credits, I feel like that's enough that you could complete within a year. I was able to do 21 classes in 6 months, and I really do feel like I could have probably done like 50 classes within, you know, a year. So that's just something to keep in mind if you really want to accelerate your degree and obtain it as fast as possible. If you're on a time crunch, or if you just learn better by going at your own pace, I would really highly suggest WGU. My experience has been amazing. I didn't have any issues with anybody, and the college itself is just great. I actually will probably go back to get my master's degree. WGU has a lot of master's degrees programs as well, and a lot of people complete those within 6 months as well too. So yeah, I hope that answers any questions that you had, and if not, and you have additional questions, just leave them in the comments down below and I will try to reply to all of those. Or if I get too many, I may just make another video about it and then just do like a Q&A. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!